thank you for waking up with We Sweet, y'all, where we come together to grow in mind, body, and spirit so we can in turn make the world brighter for ourselves and for others. You know, I don't know if I want to change my little opening thing or not. Maybe y'all can help me. We transitioned from my happy beep life to Be Sweet, y'all, and I'm loving it. I was so resistant to it. Oh my gosh, was I resistant? Do you ever do that? Do you ever know that something needs to change, but you just don't want to? You're stubborn. You just dig your heels in and it's principle. But guess what? Having that name, even though, let's face it, I am a happy A, very much. I am also a Be Sweet, y'all. So there you go. It was blocking me. It was blocking me from doing the things that I need to do. So if you're coming here to the podcast right now, actually this is a live and it will be turned into a podcast by the beautiful magic of Ashley Feller and the marketing capabilities of Miranda Copy. Thank you. Where was I going? That we changed. It's the same person. Actually, gosh, you say that, but I am the same person. I guess I'm the same person, but I'm always growing. I'm always learning. At level 67, you think I'd have it all figured out by now. I don't. And I want to talk to you about that today. I want to talk about our attitudes. I think right now, a lot of companies, including my own, have all kind of challenges right now. And you know what? If you are in a company of any kind, if you're in a life of any kind, you will have challenges. And you'll have some challenges that feel like they're going to break you. You're going to feel like you want to just quit. You're going to feel like, oh my gosh, is it only me? You're going to have every thought arise in you if you're living and breathing. Now, if you're dead or if you just don't care and if you don't want to change, maybe that won't impact you, but it really impacts me. I find myself hitting a wall sometimes. I find myself going, surely I shouldn't have this happen anymore. But guess what? That is not real life. It's just not. But I do know this. I always have said, you can't outwork me and you can't out good attitude me because I have a really good attitude. I learned that from a very young age. I learned sitting on my bed at 10 years of age, reading all those amazing books by amazing authors and people that have withstood just horrific things. As I grew up in the alcoholic home, I realized at a very young age that the power of my life was dependent on me and my attitude, me and my gratitude, me and the things that I built inside of me. And guess what? It's not one and done. It is not one and done. In fact, you know what? It's something I have to do all the time, all the time, and I think the more challenges that I have, the higher I can rise. I think, like the book, Ryan Holiday's book, The Obstacle is the Way. I think it's so true in so many things. I think the obstacle is my way. I think without those things that I bump up against that hurt me, that hurt you, we will never learn. We'll never learn. But I know that my attitude is my thing. So I want to talk to you about John Maxwell's book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and his very first principle. And let me back up a minute. I think a young man asked him at one of his conferences, just tell me the one thing. Just what's the one thing I need to know about leadership? The one thing. And John Maxwell said, the one thing is there's not just one thing. There's not just one thing. And I think the older I get, the more I study, the more I read, the more I experience life, and the more I ask God for courage, I am met with greater challenges to make me rise higher. I'm just building that muscle, and that muscle gets strong and I got to build it a little stronger. And That's what's happening with me right now in my business and in my life. And if you are attempting to make yourself a better life, I promise you it's probably happening to you too. And don't feel like you can't do it. And don't feel down if some days you get down. Yesterday was a rough day for me. I was met with things I did not want to encounter. I made decisions I did not want to make, but I had to make them as a leader. And I had to withstand ridicule. I had to withstand misunderstanding, all kinds of things. But that is what happens when you're a leader. Actually, that's what happens when you're human. So the very first principle is the law of the lid. And the law of the lid, while applying to leadership, also applies to my life. So let me explain to you. I kind of talked about it this morning on my Instagram Live. I also talked about it when I was leaving the gym, because it's so important. If you hear nothing I say today, I want you to hear me say how important your attitude is in raising the lid on your life and how far your life can go in leadership and in real life. So the law of the lid states this, that there's levels of leadership and companies and life. And if I have worked to become a leader and say I'm a level 5 or 6, my company will never be higher than that. Never. My company will never rise above the lid, basically, of my personal growth. It's my personal growth will determine the level of my personal life and my leadership life. It all is connected. So I cannot expect to be a fearless and amazing leader if I'm a level 4. I've got to work to become a higher level, thinking, acting, believing, loving, hoping. All those things have to rise if I'm going to expect to elevate myself and others. I'm going to talk to you about some things that I do to help my attitude. Now, you wouldn't have thought it yesterday because I had a super rough day. And by the time you get this podcast out there, I don't know when it'll be. Let's see who's on your day. Oh, I love it. This will be a good time to mention them. Something's Cooking is one of my precious sponsors. So before I tell you the things that I do to impact my attitude and keep a good, strong attitude, these are things that I started at 10 years of age, y'all. And of course, they've grown and I've done more and I've elevated it. One thing I want to tell you is yesterday or day before, like I said, it's been a rough week. So I love bread. And I especially love the bread at Something's Cooking, the braided bread. And I'm going to warn you, if you have a problem with bread and you can't stop eating bread, you might not want to get it. Okay, Beth, I want to admit to you, I ate almost the entire loaf. I shared a little bit with my grandson and a little bit with JJ, but I ate almost the whole loaf because I just kept on grabbing a nice soft piece and eating it. And I thought, okay, that's it. So yeah, ate the whole loaf. So that's my confession to all of you, but it's also my signal to all of you to run down to Something's Cooking. And another reason you need to go there, y'all, I want to tell you, is the fact that the roads are messed up. They're having a lot of adversity right now. They're having a lot of things that are outside their control. So we could help them by showing up and go getting a loaf of bread, having some lunch, having some brunch. Just go check them out. Okay? All right. Back to the regularly scheduled program. But let's thank our sweet friends at Pepsi too. Got my favorite, Diet Cherry Pepsi. You'll hear from more sponsors in just a minute. So one of the things that I've learned to do to create a good attitude, and I heard this when I was older, and I didn't realize this is what I was doing. There was a guy in my Sunday school class at Woodlawn Methodist Church long time ago. He never said a word. And so when he finally said a word, we listened. And although I don't have a great memory, I remember this. So we're in Sunday school class and we were talking about what are the things we do or how can we have a good life. And he said, you got to dig your well before you get thirsty. I went, wow, that's some powerful stuff. Because you can't wait. If you're thirsty, you can't go, oh, I'm thirsty. I got to dig that well. I got to get me a source of water so I can drink. It's too late then. You don't have the strength. You don't have the energy. So you must dig your well before you get thirsty. What do I mean by that? That means that I can't wait till life throws shade on me. I can't wait till life gives me obstacles to start learning. I can't wait till I'm hungry to start working. I've got to do it ahead of time. And this is what I do ahead of time. This is how I dig my well before I get thirsty. I wake up in the morning, and this is one of my tricks. The very first thing I do, I open my eyes and I go, oh my gosh, I am so grateful. Thank you. Thank you, God, that I woke up. I mean, and I do it very enthusiastically too. I don't just go, oh, great, glad to wake up. I go, I'm so excited I'm awake. And it just energizes me. I get this energy. So people say all the time, they go, are you that happy when you wake up? I go, I absolutely am. You know why? Why wouldn't I be? I'm awake. I have another opportunity to live a beautiful, amazing life that I can share with others. Isn't that exciting? That's so exciting. That's the first thing I do. But the second thing I do is I want to get that coffee, y'all. And I make a big deal out of my coffee. I make it a celebration. I just go, I make noises. See, and that's easy for me to do since I don't have a mate, so I can make all the noises I want while I'm drinking my coffee. And I just sip it and I make and I just celebrate that. I go, oh my gosh, thank you, God, for this delicious coffee. I appreciate the aromas. I appreciate the sounds of the coffee machine. I just appreciate it all. That is how I start my day. And of course, I get up and I get ready. I pray and I meditate. Sometimes they're out of order. I don't do them in the same order. Sometimes I just hop up and go right to the gym after I've drank a little bit of my coffee. But this is another thing that I do. While I'm working out, I do this. I go, thank you, God, for these arms. Thank you. Thank you that I can lift. Thank you so much for my lungs that help me breathe in the air. Thank you that my heart is beating. Thank you for my feet. So I'm constantly thanking God for the things that I'm using while I'm working out. And this is the thing that's very powerful that I want you to hear. Our state that we live in will increase our state. Let me explain. And Tony Robinson talks about this a lot. If I am doing an activity such as running, like I did yesterday, while I'm running, while I'm pounding that road, with every step I'm taking, I can say a powerful affirmation. It's more impactful. It comes more into our spirit, more into our body if we say powerful words while we're doing another activity. It's called stacking. And if it's not, that's what I just called it. So just go with it. So, and I think a lot of people do talk about habit stacking, and that's kind of a sense of that. So that's what I do. And I'm so grateful for everything that I'm doing while I'm doing it, and it will add to your life. So the other thing that I do is I have some little mantras that I say to myself. So when life is tough, maybe I'm lifting a heavy weight. Maybe life is being tough like it's being right now. And I will say to myself, perhaps the obstacle is the way. Perhaps the obstacle is the way. And another mantra I say, and another thing I say, and I got this from a friend, Josh, and I love it. I'm going to have him back on the podcast and we're going to talk about it more. When you have something happen in your life that you don't like, that's tough. Maybe the economy is not like you want it to be. Maybe you're not selling as much as your restaurant. Maybe you're not selling as much real estate as you want to sell. Maybe you got fired. Maybe you lost something. Maybe you lost a mate. Say this to yourself. What does this make possible? What does this make possible? What that was a friend of mine, Josh, and he told the story that he lost his job. He was so worried about going home and telling his wife, because his wife is more a person that really very structured, just so wants everything to be just right. See, I'm I've rarely ever had a job that was just like you got paid every week and, it doesn't depend on what you were doing. I don't even know what that's like. So I'm not real good at that. But she wanted structure and she wanted a sure paycheck and all those things like that. Well, he had to come home and tell his wife they'd lost his job. They had restructured some things in his, I think he was in a church at the time, possibly. And he was kind of nervous about what she might say. And she looked at him and said, okay, with this happening, what does this make possible? What does this make possible? Because this is what I have learned in life. That many, many times when something happens to me, when I lose something, when I lost my starter husband because he ran off, I didn't know what that would make possible. So ask yourself today, what does this make possible? And maybe write down the things that it makes possible. What does this make possible? That is such a powerful epiphany, y'all, to take that. That will help you. So remember, the obstacle is the way, and what does this make possible? And this is another thing I've learned, and I've talked about this a little bit before. I have found in my lifetime that when things were going along perfect, I will be honest with you, there was a time in my business when we were blowing and going. Money was just free flowing. That phone was a ringing. I could lay down on the road and write a real estate contract. It was just popping. First of all, I think I thought it would always pop. Second of all, I didn't pay attention. I was not mindful of my resources because there seemed to be plenty. So I wasn't very resourceful. If I wanted something, I went and got it. I didn't think about it. I didn't analyze to think, is that a smart business decision? Is that going to be good for future you? I didn't ask any of those questions because there was plenty of resources. But guess what? I know that that's not true. I know that we need to be resourceful and thoughtful about our business and our life at all times. At all times. And I'm learning that. You think I would know it by now, but I guess we all have to be reminded. So my other thing that I try to remember and today that will help your attitude is lack of resources allow me to be resourceful. Lack of resources allow me to be resourceful. That's the things I do. And I will notice that when I don't spend time in prayer, meditation, reading powerful literature, y'all, I can get caught up in this world. Thankfully, it's not but for a moment. And thankfully, precious friends remind me, like my friend who said to me yesterday, your spirit is the best part about you. Don't let someone take your spirit. Don't let anyone or anything or any situation take your spirit. It is the core of you. So let me thank a few people that make this possible. And I know a lot of people don't want advertisements and things like this, but I want you to look at it this way. These people that advertise with me, that support me, they allow me to get this message out there. Like I said, I had plenty of resources for plenty of years. Didn't worry about it. Didn't think about it. I spent thousands of dollars every month putting this podcast out there without any help, and I can't do that anymore. In order for me to continue this podcast, I must have sponsors. And like I mentioned earlier, my sweet friends at Buffalo Rock Pepsi, they're one of my main sponsors, and I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful that they saw something that I'm doing and they wanted to be a part of it. And I can't be beyond grateful for that. I'm very, very grateful for my precious friends at Holiday Beach Mechanical, who I also called this week to talk to. I called Sherry because, if you're having a tough time in business, call some of your other friends that are tough in business and know how to do it and who you trust and who have the same value system you do. That's my friends at Holiday Beach Mechanical Companies. They have a rental company. They do high-end rentals. They used to build homes. I don't think there's so much building homes so much anymore. They're building this amazing business. Gorgeous building. And they're teaching people to do AC work, plumbing work and electrical work, and they are my go-to. They're precious people. I love them. And one of my newest sponsors is Team Patriot. He's actually coming to my house this week to walk through my house, which is a disaster, which is an absolute disaster. And because I don't have a lot of resources right now, I got to be resourceful. We're going to figure out which in my house needs to be fixed and kind of an order of how we're going to fix it. So I call him my rent-a-husband. So please frequent those precious businesses. And before I go, I'm going to thank a few more sponsors because they're the reason that this is happening, y'all. And I can't thank you enough for you people that have joined me this morning for the live pop-up. I just can't thank you enough. You are my heart. You are so precious to me. You are the reason that I've been doing this since 2020. That's hardly even imaginable, y'all. So another thing I want to talk to you about attitude is this. My attitude will absolutely determine my altitude. It will. I mean, I cannot go further than my attitude. My attitude is the single most contributory thing that will impact my life. And they did a study of millionaires. They did a study of people that had risen to great heights. And they looked to see, what is it? What was that thing? You know, and this is the kind of stuff I started reading at 10 years of age, and I'm still reading. I read a nonfiction book every single week. Every single week. Don't stop. Never fail. And the thing that they found that was across the board a trait that people who were successful in spite of great obstacles, and sometimes because of obstacles, it was their attitudes. It was their belief that things could get better. It was also their belief that they were a determinant of whether the things would get better. They also knew that it absolutely had zero standing on whether they were born rich, whether they were born with all their capabilities. None of that mattered. None of that mattered. What mattered that these people who become successful without fail believed that there was something inside of them that could contribute to their growth and the belief that life could be better. As I repeat Henry Ford all the time because it is truer than true. If you think you can, you are right. If you think you can't, you are also right. I'm going to add to that. If you think that the economy will determine your success and joy in life, you're right. If you think the economy has absolutely no power over the joy and your success in life, you are right. If you think others will determine your joy and your life, you're right. If you think that there is no human alive that can take away the spirit and the energy and the joy that you possess, then you are right. That is how you will develop an attitude that's unstoppable, that is unmatchable, and that is unbeatable. Y'all, the law of the lid makes sense. It makes sense in leadership. It makes sense in every area of your life. So if you don't like the way life is working out for you right now, if it's not working out for you, if you feel like something's stopping you, stop what you're doing right now. Hit your knees and say, thank you, God, for every obstacle, every disability, every person that is stopping me. Thank you for all of it, because I know that the obstacle is the way. I know that the lack of resources will make me resourceful. I know that I have to dig my well before I get thirsty. I know those things. Those things will help me elevate my life so I can help elevate the lives of others. So I hope that made some sense to you. And I thought of a little mantra or a little thing to say this morning when I was, my little affirmations. And I was just thinking, you know what? God, help me to dig my well before I get thirsty. God, help me remember that the obstacle may be my way. God, help me know that lack of resources allows me to be more resourceful. God, my great and positive attitude is my number one gift. You cannot great attitude me. It always depends on me to make my life better. And when I do that, I make the lives of other people better. So I hope any of that made any sense to you today. And I want to thank a few more people before I go. I want to really thank, you see these funky, fancy earrings? Well, if you're not on like YouTube, you need to go to YouTube. Go check us out on YouTube. You get to see us. You get to see all my crazy hand motions, see me go crazy, see my crazy hair. By the way, crazy hair is by Hue Salon. They don't make it crazy. They just cut it really cute and adorable, and they're precious. I love them so much. And I'm the one that kind of makes it crazy because I like crazy hair. And thank my sweet friends at Gypsy Willow. That's where these earrings came from, y'all. You can get all kinds. No two are alike. My friend Katie Hughes with Eye Catchers Artworks is the one that makes them. Please go check them out. And y'all, if you are in need of furniture, what you waiting on? What are you waiting on? You need to go see Shore House Furniture. You know what I almost called them? I almost called them Shore House Happy because I have a little segment that I do, and I'll be doing some today called Shore House Happy, where I just do a little happy tidbit, and I call it Shore House Happy for my sweet people at Shore House Furniture. So y'all can remember how precious and sweet they are. So today, please love each other. Love yourself first. Love yourself first. And if you're having trouble with your attitude, call me. Call me. I'll be honest with you. I will talk to you about it. I'm probably going to have an attitude workshop pretty soon. I'm working on the details and the time. So if you think you might be interested in a workshop that I'm going to put on at Beachy Beach Top Secret Headquarters, hit me up in my DMs and let me know. If you're a person that wants to be a part of the workshop, let me know, because all kinds of resources might help people out. Well, I love y'all dearly, and I thank you so much. And I'm going to implore you today to be sweet, y'all. Mwah.